of Sociable Art, and today we're going to paint this happy little owl. And I first just wanted to talk a little bit about the paints that we're going to use and how to use them, the brushes, etc. If you don't have this pre-sketched canvas from sociableart.com so that you can just fill in with color, you can always sketch the owl yourself on canvas. At the end of this video, you can fast forward, and at the very end, I will do a tutorial of how to sketch the owl yourself. So you can skip ahead to that if you don't have the pre-sketched canvas. You should have all the paint colors that you need, and we're going to use pink, purple, blue, green, yellow, black, and white. And I've got that at the bottom of the screen so you can make sure you have all the colors that you need. And also just know that you don't have to have every single one of these colors, because you can mix a lot of them if you just have primary colors. So mostly you just need to make sure that you have blue and yellow and red and white, and you can mix some of the other colors, and maybe nice to have black as well. And then you should have one or two brushes. Two would be nice because you want to have one that's slightly bigger and then one that's a smaller brush to get the detail work done. And I'm going to show you how to paint this so that it ends up looking pretty much like this example and this one I painted earlier. But I want you to know that you do not have to paint it so that it looks just like this. I want you to make this your own painting. I'll show you how to do it this way, but please, if you feel like having, purple in your sky, please add that. You don't have to do it this way. I'd love to see you do it your own way. And the most important thing is to have fun while you're painting. And part of that is to experiment with your paints and try and mix new colors and just be imaginative. So it's nice to have a little example nearby just to kind of look at to get some ideas, but use your imagination. So I'm going to turn this so that it's closer to our canvas so you can see everything that I'm doing on there. And I'm going to start out by painting the background. And the background of my original painting is mostly white, but I've added several different colors. Most of the colors that are in my palette, this little plastic thing is your palette, I've added a little bit of most of those colors into the background. So I'm going to start out up in this corner of the canvas, and I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to dip it into the blue paint, and I'm going to add some into the white. So I have here a paper plate, a black paper plate. You can use a paper plate if you want to, rather even than this palette, because it's easier to mix colors on there. And you can start putting your paint on the canvas. And let's say you put your paint on there and you think, oh, that's too dark. Well, you can add white right into it, right on the canvas. Anytime that you put a paint color onto the canvas and you think that you don't really like it, it wasn't what you expected, you don't have to worry about it. There really are no mistakes, because you can paint over it, or you can take your paper towel, which you should have a paper towel handy. You can take a paper towel and just wipe off what you don't like an eraser, and then start over again. But it's always possible to paint over. Also, make sure you have a cup of water. I didn't mention that in the beginning. Because you want to sometimes clean your brush between the colors, of course. So right now I'm just adding more of this light blue in here. And there are some parts where you might want to kind of paint over what's sketched on there. Like right there was the tail of the butterfly, his body, and I wanted to just cover that over, because I can add it back in later and it's easier than painting all the way around it. You might also want to paint the sides of your canvas so that the canvas is painted all the way around. And so I'm taking this blue around here and down the side of the owl there. And if I'm ever going too fast, please just, pause this video and you can go a little bit slower. I kind of move pretty quickly through it because I've been painting for a long time. Okay, so when I get to here, I might want to start adding a different color into this background. Like on this side, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of pink. So I'm going to clean this brush. If you want to, you could keep using it, but it'll just turn your paint kind of purple, because this color blue and pink added together make a purple. So I'm going to take this brush, it's clean. I'm going to take a little pink, and I'm going to put some pink in with some of my white, and then I'll start adding that. When I started adding it, I was like, oh, that's too dark. So I'm gonna wipe some of that paint out of my brush, get some white paint, put it in there, and then all of a sudden, magically, it's a lighter shade of pink. Well, it's not really so much magic, but you get it. It's just gonna make it the shade that I want, and I don't have to worry about, making a mistake, because I can always correct anything that I do. And please, if you want to use a different color in the background, do that. So here I've got this pink shade here, and then as I get lower down here, I think I'm going to want to add a little yellow. So I can do the same thing, add yellow into the white, and then I put that on there. And if I put it right next to the pink color and then blend it a little bit into the pink, then I've got a smoother, like a blending. Okay, and now I'm adding some green. And so the green that comes with your kit, it's a real nice green, but you might want to, what I did is I added some yellow to my green, and I got this really nice bright green. So that's what I'm using. And so I mixed yellow with the green, and then I added white to it. I'm just going to fill in down here. And if you want to get kind of fancy with it, you could, some of your brush strokes, you could kind of do like this so it looks like grass. And then you don't have to do that, but that's just an option for you. I don't want to make it too difficult. And then when I come over here and I'm filling in around these flowers, I'm just going to go right over the stems and the petals, and I'll just paint those in later. You can see them right through the paint, so it's not a problem to find them later and add them. Okay, and I'm just making a little more green here because I ran out. And then I'll just go up here, and you can try and get around these petals a little bit, but I wouldn't worry too much about getting a little bit of paint onto them because you can cover it up later. I'm just going to go right up to the owl here. Okay, and then we need to start adding a different color in, and I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of the reverse of what I did on the other side. So I'm going to start out by adding in yellow and white. So mix some yellow with some white, and I'll start adding that on, and I'm painting the sides of the canvas as well as I go. Not being too careful around that flower there. Then when I get up to about here, I'm going to add the pink again, pink and white. That time I didn't even clean my brush. I just went ahead and went right to the pink. But if you have a lot of paint in your brush, you should definitely clean it first before switching colors. Okay. And on this side, I think I'm going to actually switch to orange next, orange and white, because I didn't add that on the other side, and I want to kind of try to include most of the colors. I'm just trying to blend it a little bit more down here. And then switch to orange, orange and white. I like that color a lot, so... And it mixes well with the pink, so you should be able to blend it pretty nicely. And then when we get up here to the top, I'm going to switch to yellow for this top corner. I'm going to clean my brush a little bit, and then I'm going to do yellow and white up here in the corner. Do a little more yellow to show up there. Going around the heart, and I'm painting the top of the canvas. Okay, and the yellow you can just take around a little bit to here, and then we're going to do some green and white. And the reason we're adding the green up here at the top is because it will, you see we have green on the bottom, and if you put it up here at the top, it's like it almost like balances everything out. You've got it on the top and you've got it on the bottom. And over here, where I try to blend in with the blue, you see it doesn't blend that well, and that's because the blue is already dry. And if you want colors to blend well, they should both be wet at the same time. So the solution is to go back, find some light blue in my palette, and add the light blue back in so that I have two colors wet at the same time, and they will blend better. Okay, so now I've got the whole background done, and now it's time to paint the owl. Now I painted my owl pink, but if you want to paint it purple or some other color, you can do that. I definitely add white to the pink because it's too, if you see, it's too dark if I don't add white to it. So I like to add the white. And purple would be a nice option because I know a lot of people really like purple. And we don't have purple anyplace else in the painting. So if you want to use purple, the purple that comes with the kit is quite dark. So you will want to add white to it for sure. And I'm just going to fill in. You want to, try to stay inside the lines for the most part. But it looks perfectly fine if you go out a little bit, or, you can correct it too with a paper towel. So don't be too worried if you go a little bit outside the lines. We just do our best. I've been painting for years and years, so it's a little bit easier for me to stay within the lines just because I've been doing it so long. And the more you practice at anything, especially at art, the better that you'll get, and you'll feel more confident about it, and more confident about doing it your own way. And that'll just make it more fun. So try to do your art as often as you can. One suggestion for you as I'm painting this pink and I'm getting lower down towards the bottom of the owl, you might want to add maybe some purple into your pink down here. And that's one way to get the purple into your painting. So I just added purple into my pink and white. And then my owl has kind of a two-tone or like an ombre look to him or her. I think it's a her because she has very long eyelashes. And going over here, add that purple over here too. And just blend it the same way we blended the sky in the background. So I'll take that purple up here a ways, and then when I get to this part, then I can get most of the purple out of my brush and then switch just to straight pink and white. And I'll do the pink and white right above that purple area first, and then so I do it all in here, and then I'll blend it into the purple. And then make sure I get the purple. If I have any purple in my brush, I want to get it out because I don't want to make all of this purple. And then I'll go back to the pink and white. And there we go. And right over those eyelashes, because we can add those later and we will see them perfectly fine. It's really hard to paint around those little lines, and we can find them later and paint them in. Same thing with his beak. That's why I painted right over it. It's just much easier, and I'm sure that I can paint it in later. Okay, so his body's painted in. Now we need to paint his stomach and his wings. So I used green for his stomach, and I want to use the green and the yellow again. And I think when I originally painted this, I have the green and the yellow, and I actually added just a teeny bit of orange to it, which makes it kind of a olivey green. But you can use the green that you like best. So this, see this olivey color? This is green and yellow and white and just a little bitty bit of orange. If you add too much orange, you will get brown. And that's okay. If you mix it, it's fun to mix and experiment with the colors. And if you mix and you get brown, just, you know, set that aside. And maybe you don't want to use brown, just set it aside and start over again and just use less orange. That's experimentation is the best way to learn. So you might make a mistake in your mixing, and that's fine. Just set it aside and try again. Or you could just use the green and yellow too. That would be fine. And if you're painting here and you know this color next to it is still wet, and if you drag that paint color into this color, just wipe that part off and just avoid that wet area until, or give it a moment to dry. You can pause this video at any time and just take some time to catch up or make corrections. Okay, so I painted in his whole stomach, and now it's time for the wings. So I clean my brush because I want to do yellow in the wings. And this, you could either use the straight yellow or the yellow mixed with a little bit of white. This has a little bit of white added to it. You know, it might be cute to have these with a little, just a teeny bit of orange in them too. Now I'm going to add just a little orange down here. Okay, back to the yellow for the other wing. Still have a little orange in there, but that's fine. Okay, so now he has wings, and he has a little butterfly on his head, and I'm going to paint that in orange, and I think I want to add white to that orange as well. And I'm painting right over the dots that you see on him, those spots. Painting right over them, and I'll add them in later. Okay, so that's finished. Now, even though the canvas is white and we want his eyes to be white, we still need to paint them white, because you can tell the difference when you look at a painting between bare canvas and painted canvas. So even areas that are white should be painted. And did you see how I just made a little error and I had a little bit of the white paint go outside of his eye area? And did you see what I did? I just used my finger and quickly wiped it off. So let me try and do that again and show you. So I went, oops, and I got some white there, and I just went like that really quick, and I wiped that part off. Okay, so now he has white eyes. Okay, what else do we have to paint? These hearts, I think we should do those pink. This is straight pink. You can add white to it if you want. And you can even add more hearts if you want to, more than I put on the sketched canvas. There we go. And one more here. And you can use the small brush if you're having trouble using this bigger size brush to do the hearts. Okay, so we have flowers down here, and you can make those whatever color that you want. I think I'm just going to do mine pink, so they will have pink petals. And usually it just takes like a kind of quick brush stroke like this. Do the petals first, because then if you accidentally go into the center, it's no problem because you're going to cover it soon with another color. So I just kind of do a dab on my brush like that. Okay, and then I'll do the other ones. So I'm just putting my brush on there and kind of pulling it in. I'm not being really careful about how I do them, and it's going to end up looking fine. Okay. And you can make them yellow or purple, whatever color you want, or even blue, blue flowers. Okay, so now there are those flowers done, and we still need to put the centers in, but I need to let it dry a moment. And really we want several different areas to dry in here, so you might pause a second, or you can keep moving along like I'm going to. I want to put the little head and body of the butterfly, and I'm going to do that in a light green. So I'm doing the green and yellow. And I'm just adding that body in there. And then let's see, we need some eyes, the pupils of the eyes. And I have black paint in your kit, but I like to use like a gray rather than the black. So I mix some black in with white paint till I get a gray. And that's what I'm going to use for any outlining or any of the dark areas. It's just a gray shade. So that's going to go in there like that. I just circle my brush around to get that circular shape. And while I have this on my little skinny brush, I can add the stems to the flowers and the petals. Like that. And then one down here. And then of course he has legs that need, or she has legs that need to be filled in. Just add those legs with the skinny brush and the gray paint. And let's see, what else do we need to add? The butterfly has a little antenna that will be gray like that. Just a little curly line. We can do the beak. And if you want to outline the entire owl and the eyes and the eyelashes, you can do that when we're done. But you don't have to. If you look at your owl and you think he looks really good with no outlining, you might want to skip it because the outlining is kind of tedious and a little tiresome to do. Okay, so we have some other details on this owl. Like on his stomach, we have some white lines that are supposed to represent feathers. So they're kind of like the letter V. So I'm going to take white paint and I'm just going to go like that. And then I'm just going to keep adding more and more of those V's in. You might need to do a second coat, or else I think I had a lot of water in my brush, which you want to make sure you don't have a lot of water in your brush, like between changing colors, because then it'll make your paint really watered down and you won't be able to see it as well. So make sure after you clean your brush to use your paper towel to get all the water out of your brush before switching to the next color. Otherwise you won't see that color very well. Okay, so there's little V shapes on his belly, and then he has some orange lines on his wings that are supposed to look like feathers too. So I just added a few of those, and I added yellow circles. And if you want your yellow to show up a little more, it can really help to add a little bit of white to it, because the yellow paint is kind of transparent on its own, but if you add white paint to it, it becomes more opaque, which means you can see it better. So the centers of the flowers are also yellow, and you might want to add white paint to your yellow to make it show up better and to cover better. So if you're covering any pink you got on the center, you might want to use white with your yellow. Okay, one other thing that I did is I added some light blue lines onto the owl, the pink owl, and you don't have to do that. That's just a matter of if you like it, you can add it. If not, you don't have to. Whoops, see that? I got some water on there. I didn't dry my brush well enough, and I dripped some water on there. So make sure you dry your brush well between colors. I'm just adding these lines. These are just kind of just to make the owl look a little more interesting, just to give it a little something more, but it's not a necessary thing. You can do it if you like it, or leave it out if you think it looks good without it. I did a few lines around the eyes too. Okay, that looks good to me. So the only thing left to do is if you want to do any outlining, as I said with the gray, you can do that now, and that would be using your skinny brush or your bigger brush. If you have a good bigger brush that has a nice edge to it, then you should be able to use that. Mine probably is not too good enough to do, so I'm just going to use the small brush, gray paint. You can outline these hearts too if you want to. Just be careful when you're outlining, you don't drag your hand into the wet paint, because then, you know, like with your hand back here, you might smear the paint, so you have to be really careful. Sometimes I tell people, if you want to do this outlining, if you want to lay your canvas flat on the table, it's a little easier than doing the outlining while it's up in an easel. And having an easel like this is not necessary at all for this painting. I didn't even mention that at the beginning. So there's nothing special about using an easel for this particular kind of painting. You can do it flat on the table and it will be just fine to do it that way. Now, some other paintings, as you get more experienced, you might want to use an easel if you're doing anything that has any kind of perspective in it, so you can see it accurately. Okay, your outlining, like I said, it's optional. You might not need it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Do the best you can, and outline it around this eye. And if you make you know, what you think is a mistake, if it just really the line gets into the white eye or something like that, you can wipe it off quickly with your paper towel and correct it. Art's all about making errors and then putting paint on top of them and just trying again. And if yours looks very different from mine, that's often a very good thing. It shows that you were creative and you have your own style. And it would be great if all of yours, if you're doing this in a group, if they all look very different. That's cool. I'd love to see your finished paintings if you want to share them with me. And let me know if I can share your painting with other people so that they can see, you know, how it's always encouraging to see how somebody else painted. And it's brave to share your work also. Okay, so that's about it. The only other thing left to do would be to sign your name at the bottom so that you can proudly own your work and people will know that you did it for years to come. This famous masterpiece that you painted. You should be very proud of it. And one other thing, so thank you for painting with me today. I really appreciate you giving it a try. I hope you enjoyed it. And after this, I'm going to show how to sketch the owl on your own. If you want to learn how to do that, stay with me. Otherwise, bye. I'll see you later. Okay, I'm just right now going to put a sketchbook on here. And let me make this so you can see it. And then I'll show you how to, this easel's kind of falling apart, but let me show you how to do this. I'm going to do it with a black marker just so you can see it. But if you're going to do this on your own, you might want to be using a pencil so that you can erase parts you don't want, and then you won't see your lines quite as well on the canvas that you're using. So to start out, you want to make sure first that you are placing the owl in the right spot on your canvas. You want to leave room for a butterfly up here and for legs and grass and flowers down here. So you kind of want to imagine first how big this is going to be. It's about going to be, the owl's body is going to be about this big. So think of that first. And then what I want you to do is do a shape like a letter U. So it's a a U with a curving bottom. So I'm going to start here. Oh, this marker's terrible. Okay, well, I'm using a terrible marker, but you'll get the idea. Okay, so we're going to do a U like that. And then you want to do like a curved line, like a curve like this between the tops of the letter U. I'm sorry, my pen is kind of bad, you can't see it as well, but so we did the letter U, like it was like almost like a cup. And then we did another curved line, very subtle curved line between those two, and that's going to make the ears. Okay, and then you're going to go down to about here, about halfway down this line, and you're going to do a curve like this. So just do a curve on the side. But you can't see that. Let me try and make it darker. Okay, and then a curve on this side in the same spot. And then you're going to do the same curve on the other side. Okay, like that. And then you want to add the circles for eyes. So if you're using a pencil, you could do a little line here so you could erase it later. And this will be to give you an idea of where is the center of this owl. And then you can either draw your circles, or if you want to make sure they're the same, you could use a little cap or something that you have, some small little thing that you can put on there, and you can just draw around it to do kind of perfect circles. Or otherwise, you can just kind of go for it. Try and do a circle, and you can just circle around and around with your pencil until it becomes more circular, and you can just erase anything you don't like on there. Okay, so there's your two circles. And then between them, you have a letter V, which is the beak. And you have little circles in there that are the pupils. And then you're going to have eyelashes. So those are just three curved lines like letter C's that you put above the eyes. And then you want to have this belly. So you remember how we did the letter U? Well, this is like an upside down letter U. Or like a little door almost you put on him or her. And then you're going to put a straight line down here, and that's a leg. And then a curved one, because he's kind of sticking one leg up. And then a butterfly up here, you're just going to do kind of like a curved line that comes back to where you started. Like a teardrop, but upside down. Then you'll do another smaller one of those here. And you might put a little circle and a curved line for his body. A heart, another heart. And then down here you're going to have some flowers. So you'll put a circle, and then you'll curve lines that go right back to the circle. And do 5 of those. And you can do several flowers down here and then just put a little line under them and a circle like that for a petal. And you'll do several of those. And that's how you sketch the owl. Thanks for joining me.